Hello and welcome to Model Dads. Courtesy of the Plastic Soldier Company, we've been fortunate enough to get our hands on the recently released 15mm British Cromwell Tank kit. Plastic Soldier's Cromwell set contains 5 Cromwell Mark IV tanks, with each sprue having the option to build a close support variant with a 95mm howitzer and or a Cullen hedge cutter, and comes in at £18.95, that's just £3.79 per tank. Each sprue contains 27 pieces of hard grey plastic parts, of which 7 are optional. These are the Cullen or prong hedgerow cutter, not produced until November 1944 for Cromwell, the 75 or 95mm gun barrels, turret open or closed, a rear deflector, front and rear mudguards, and of course the commander, with instructions printed on the box's interior. No decals are included. As you can see, parts are very cleanly cast with no flash and very few mould lines. Aside from a minor deformation on 4 of the wheels on the right hand side one-piece track, detail is clear, crisp and accurate, with the only obvious omission I can see being the spot lamp on the right hand side of the turret. There's no build sequence included in the instructions, and whilst it's relatively straightforward, it does reward patience and careful reference to blueprints if you want to ensure, for example, that you're putting the engine inlet cover the right way round. For a klutz like me, there are some fiddly bits that posed a challenge, so dry fit everything first. Parts separate neatly from the sprue and clean up well with a craft knife. I would recommend using a dedicated plastic adhesive like Plastic Weld with a fine brush, as assembly can require a little finesse at times. The pegs attaching the tracks to the chassis needed adjustment so they sat flush, and with my cack-handedness the 6-piece turret was a challenge. On the plus side, Plastic Soldier should be commended for their design, as the build actually conceals some of the obvious eyesores. For example, the front mudguards cover the point where the chassis is separated from the sprue. My first build took me a measured 50 minutes, but as I said, I am ham-fisted. As you can see, the finished kit is very pleasing to the eye and comes in at 6.3cm in length, 3.2cm wide and 2.4cm high. Aside from being marginally wider than the original, these are otherwise spot on scale. I'm likely to swap the crew figure for one of Battlefront's tank commanders to ensure compatibility with my infantry. Plastic Soldier's crew member is not the heroic proportions of Battlefront figures, but is very presentable. This leads me to the only obvious flaw, and that's that the open turret can't sit flush if you fit on a front to back due to the antenna mount. Whilst you could legitimately model the turret side to side, I got round this by heating the turret with a hairdryer before bending it into shape. Just don't go overboard or you'll end up with another problem. Detail is excellent, and this is particularly true of the rear upper hull around the air inlet cover, the front upper hull, turret and coaxial 7.92 Besser air-cooled MG. The standard range of tools is well represented on the right hand side, and if I had a niggle, it would be that the kit would have been enhanced through the provision of optional additional stowage and personal belongings that is sometimes seen in Normandy and elsewhere. Overall, this is an excellent kit that offers exceptional value for money. A careful build with a range of options nets you a lightweight, highly detailed and eminently affordable Cromwell, ready for you to swan off across northern France and the Low Countries. Just steer clear of those tigers. Highly recommended.